Okay, I think we are live. Hello and welcome to today's Confessions of a Global Changemaker show. Every day I'm coming to you live at 5 to bring you the insider secrets and all the little things that we don't often talk about as entrepreneurs. And as we start to increase our businesses, we start to increase our footprint and our impact that we're making. There are things that happen to us along the way, and sometimes you might think that, is this just me? Because I know that I've thought that along the way. And I certainly thought that back in, I believe it was probably around 2002 when I took on my very first business coach. Now, I was terrified. I didn't know anything about business back then. It was like I was pretty much just starting out. I had my design agency. I was starting to get clients, starting to gather momentum. But you get to a certain point where there's only so much you can do on your own. And I met this amazing lady whilst networking. It was either networking or it was a word of mouth referral. And I met this amazing lady. And all these many years later, we're talking like 15 years later. Well, for those of you that have followed my journey, you've seen what I've been up to. And it all starts with having the right people around you. And sometimes you just need somebody to shine a light on what's already there. You don't need to be told what to do. You just need someone to shine the light on what's already there and bring that very best out of you. And who better to do that than a coach that gives a shit as much about your success as you do. So I'm very, very excited to introduce you to my very first business coach, a friend who I've been friends for goodness knows how long. We used to go walking a lot. And like, tell me, do you right now, or have you been thinking about how you could develop further? I am not a business coach. That's not my skill. That's not where I sit. As a branding and visibility mentor, it's my duty to bring you the very best people that can support you on that journey. And one of those people is this incredible lady. But one of the things that I read on her website, which I thought was really interesting, was the questions. Are you as fulfilled as you want to be? Are you as happy as you want to be? Are you finding yourself a bit more exhausted than you wanted to be? Are you seeing as much as your family as you want to? Are you celebrating your successes as much as you could be? Are you on the life path that you wanted to be, or that feel that you should be? So that's what we're going to be digging into tonight. So I'm delighted to introduce you to my good friend and soul sister from a very, very long time, Miss Jane Keogh. Hello, Jane. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here.
Oh, Jane, it's been so long. I mean, literally, guys and girls, you are watching our first reunion after, we were just saying, it must be 10 years.
At least, yeah.
At least, like, we've had grandbabies. We were just talking about all the grandbabies we're now with, and so many things has happened in our businesses. But Jane, in all the time that you've been in business, I mean, you've been in business a long time before you even were coaching me back in 2002 or whenever it was. So what was it that got you into business in the first place?
Oh, wow. Well, that was it was back in the 1990, I think it was 1991. I was just pregnant with my second child, and a company that we worked for was taken over by a US company, and they decided to remove the entire board. I was on a different board because there were two subsidiary companies, and it was all going to court, and there were lawyers and solicitors and everything involved with it. And it became untenable, and I swore I'd never put myself in that position again. So once the court case was over and we settled, we decided to buy a business, and we bought our first business and decided from that moment onwards we would be masters of our own destiny. Yeah.
And so did you go into buying a franchise the very first time you went into business, or did you go into business, because I know that there was part of a franchise that you were connected to at one point. Yeah. So how did you get into that?
So initially we bought an established business. It was a specialist medical agency, and basically we bought it ready-made. It was already established, and then we grew it from there. So that was really, really interesting. It was a real challenge. It was learning the ins and outs of how hospitals work, both in the private and NHS sectors. And then we grew different businesses, because before I knew you, I'd already had a load of other businesses, some very successful, some that weren't, and some that were incredibly successful, and then for one reason or another were no longer. And I mean, there's a story just after 9/11, actually. I can remember seeing the horrible news about what happened when, and the internet was really awful then. And our sales director and sales team got up and walked out, and they set up in competition with us. So overnight, our business disappeared. So yeah, you know, you survive this kind of stuff. You wouldn't believe it, but you do.
Do you, and like, do you look back? Like, you know, Steve Jobs talks about looking backwards to join the dots. Could you see that was happening? Or is there something you could have done with that business? Looking back at that, if you were to advise your younger self, what would you have done differently to have protected yourself better from that? Because I know it's a worry that a lot of people have. So let's dig into that while we're talking about it.
I think the thing is that people want to be appreciated and valued. And I was the people person in the business, and my ex-husband, who I was in business with, we had very different skill sets. He was more about the systems and the finances. I was more about the fluffy stuff. Fluffy stuff. I don't think it is fluffy stuff, because actually fundamentally I think people drive business and they have to be right.
Yeah.
So, but he wasn't interested in that side of things, and people felt aggrieved by that. So I think it's really about the entire board of directors to be interested in your people, have communication. I mean, talk to them, tell them that you appreciate them, tell them that you value their skill set, and that they make a difference to the business. Listen to them, hear what they're saying. And I think fundamentally that would make a huge difference, because as we all know, if you don't value and appreciate your people, they're going to walk.
Yeah, and that goes for your customers as well, you know, especially if you have a community or a movement, you're building a tribe. Well, you know, let them know they're valued, because otherwise there are plenty of communities that they can go to if they're not part of yours. So Jane, when you bought a franchise, so what were some of the things that, having gone through the experience of building your own business organically and then buying a franchise, what were some of the things that you thought, God, I would never do that again? What are some of the things you learned from that?
I mean, I think franchise is really good from a lot of perspectives. I'm not going to knock them. But the thing that I found really difficult was the restrictions, because I'm a very free spirit. And I wasn't able to be who I really was, because I was restricted by certain rules and regulations and all this kind of stuff. So it began not to sit comfortably with me. So I found out quite quickly that franchises weren't for me. They weren't designed for my nature. I'm very fast and furious and want to do my own thing. And if I have an idea, I want to fly with it. And I wasn't able to do that within the constraints of the contract. So, yeah, I mean, it was great. The training was good. I had a lot of experience. It certainly taught me about, or it certainly led me into the journey around personal development, which is, I think, key to success and to being happy. You know, unraveling our baggage and sorting the crap out that continues to come with us through life if we don't face it and say, okay, it's time. Let's get rid of this now. So it certainly led me in that direction.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I witnessed the transformations. I experienced the transformations myself. I always remember something that you said, and I don't know if you'll even remember saying this, but we were up on a mountain. Jane and I, when we used to have our coaching sessions, I'm quite an active person and I love walking. Yeah, that's why I love having my dogs. I love going out. I love the countryside. We both loved walking our dogs. We both love the countryside. And so Jane used to deliver my coaching sessions while we'd be out on a mountain or we'd be walking somewhere. And I remember something you said, and I can't quote it verbatim, but it was something like, you know, the reason why I found it so much easier to express myself, and we just got so much more out of the sessions when we were walking, was I think you said it was because my conscious mind is so busy putting one foot in front of the other that we can actually have a conversation with my unconscious mind. We can start getting to those things, those like limiting beliefs, those fears, all that stuff that's kind of lurking behind the surface that my ego is going, no, actually, I really like this stuff because this keeps me small, it keeps me safe, you know. And we could actually have a conversation with the real me. you know, and there was so much that came out. And I noticed that while we were moving, there was always more that came out from that. Have you found that with any of your other customers, or was that just like with me? You know, do they find it easier when they're moving as well? Is it a thing that people could start doing?
Absolutely. I think being out in nature is a really, really good place. It gives you clarity. It clears the fog, and it really helps you feel connected with who you are, what you are. We are part of nature. We're part of the universe, and we forget that. We forget that we're not human doings, that we're human beings.
Yeah.
I think when you're out and about and you're moving and you're taking deep breaths to get the fresh air into you, your blood working much better because it's full of oxygen. You feel better. You've got clearer head. You can see things from a different perspective. And, you know, that's why I lead trips down the Zambezi, you know, because when you're in the middle of nowhere and you are sort of on a river that's full of crocodiles and hippos and there are herds of elephants in front of you, it really makes you be in the moment because you've got to be really, really super alert. And you see things just as they are. And I think the problem in business is sometimes we get so overwhelmed that we can't see clearly what we need to see. We've seen that video of the basketball players and they put a guy in a gorilla suit into
that sounds familiar. That sounds familiar.
So basically, they put this man in a gorilla suit on the basketball team, on the basketball court, and the players are so focused on getting the next goal, so getting the ball across the other side to get into the basket, they don't see this gorilla. You know, because sometimes we're so focused that we don't see the obvious, we don't see the opportunities that are there. So I think being out in nature, walking, moving, clearing your head, touching a tree, whatever it is, that, you know, being by water can really help you do that very, very easily. And I always say, if you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling there's a block, get up and move, get out.
Get outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's quite funny because when you I was listening to a podcast the other day where they were saying, you know, it used to be that our adrenaline would kick in because there was a tiger or a lion chasing us, and that's when you need to run. That's when you need that fight or flight response. But now our fight or flight response is, you know, that tiger, that lion, that bear, that, you know, whatever it is actually, it's your emails now. It's the phone ringing. It's your customers nipping at your heels. It's all of the everyday stresses, but your body's producing that same amount of adrenaline as if you're running from a tiger. So I love that you're taking people on trips to Africa and around the world where they literally are tigers, lions, bears, you know, the kind of things that you do want to I can't even put my teeth in today, do want to run away from. And so, you know, it's great that you're getting people out into the environment where there is real risk. And yet the things that we make these massive risks in our head each and every day are nothing like that. You know, you put yourself in front of a lion in comparison to, oh, I didn't do 10 emails today. Oh, my God. And then you're losing sleep over it or whatever. But it's very real to somebody, that thing that's chasing them, keeping them awake at night.
The problem in modern day business is our reaction times now are almost expected immediately because of the technology that we have. And I think it's creating really serious mental health issues, which is why I got into the business I'm now doing, because I was really keen to help people understand that there's more to life than just business. You know, yeah, sure, if you're enjoying it, great, but why are you doing it? What's the purpose for it? What's it going to give you? And are you taking those opportunities to do all the things that you dreamt of doing? Because often we get so caught up in it that we say, we haven't got time for that. We haven't got time for that. We'll park it. We'll do it later. And, you know, I know a couple, I'm working with a lady at the moment whose husband retired a couple of years ago. They saved all the things up that they wanted to do when they were in retirement. And he got a very aggressive cancer and he died. And suddenly, you know, I know. So it's, you know, now, don't say, say yes to opportunities. Don't park the things you want to do. I mean, we don't know if we got our health tomorrow, you know, so it's kind of like embracing the moment. It's embracing the present. You know, I say yes to a lot of stuff that people think, why would you do that? But I'm so glad I do, because, you know, I still feel like I'm, I don't know, 30.
But I think it's a really valid point, because, you know, there's so often that we see something we want to invest in and we don't because, you know, it will still be there next time, or, you know, you don't do something, you don't go on that trip, you don't book yourself onto that lifetime holiday, you think, oh, you know, I'll have dinner with my husband tomorrow, or you put things off. But you never know when that time is going to run out. You know, I bought a cap for my nephew, my 7-year-old nephew, when I was traveling. I have a business in Canada, and I was traveling over in Canada speaking and on a tour, and I bought this cap for my nieces and nephews, and I managed to give two of my one of my niece and my nephew, I managed to give them one, but this other little red cap with the Calgary Flames on it traveled all around with me, because every time I tried to get across to my brother, like, you know, they'd have chicken pox or something would happen, and we couldn't quite connect. And then he was actually killed, and I never got to give him that cap. And you never, ever, ever think that a 7-year-old kid, like, they're going to be around forever. Everybody, you think they're always going to be around forever. I still carry that cap everywhere I go. And it reminds me that I need to stop and be, not just do. I have to stop and be. And actually, that's what my brother, they've just had their second son. And, you know, and thank goodness, because I think in some ways, I think their new little one has saved them as a family. But, you know, I took for granted the fact that, oh, well, there'll always be another time when I'm in London. There'll always be another time that I'll be there. Well, that time was gone, and I will never, ever, I can talk about it much easier now, because it's taken a long time for me to be able to do that. But you just never know. And so you've got to take the risk. You've got to, obviously calculated risk, but you've got to take the risk. You've got to jump in with both feet. You know, we don't have a specific clock in, clock out. We don't know. It's not an unlimited, you know, sandbox that we have to play in while we're here. So I think it's really important that we do take those opportunities. Like, how many of you that are watching this now, either live or on the replay? Hi, Greg. Oh, my husband's watching. Hello. How many of you on watching this now or on the replay that you have something that you've wanted to say yes to, or you didn't say yes to, and then you regretted not saying yes to it? Like, the opportunity went, or something happened and you weren't able to do it. Or maybe there's something now that you're thinking, you know, well, I've been thinking for a while I should do that. You know, my husband that's watching now, I'm so proud of him, because he's really investing in himself right now. And he's been such an investor in other people for so long. And now he's investing in himself, and it's his time. And watching him shine has just been fantastic. I think sometimes, you know, we can be around people that are giving so much to us, and we don't necessarily take that time to say thank you. So, Greg, I'd like to say thank you to you now for being champion and a rock. You know, Jane knew me when I was way back then in my early 30s, you know, just starting out in my first business. I mean, let's touch on that for a moment, because we're going back a long, long time, and business has changed since then. We didn't have the internet like we do now, you know, like social media. We were talking, what would that have been? So that would have been about 2002. So that was only really within the first 10 years of online presence. So we had websites, we had certain things, but we didn't have any of this access to massive social media channels, or the ability to live stream and talk to each other from no matter wherever you are in the world. We didn't have that. So, like, it was traditional marketing that we were doing, you know, proper leaflet drops and networking events and trade shows and all that physical burning shoe leather, as they say. So, Jane, like, what was your formula? Like, how have you noticed your formula for growing a business has changed over this last, like, 15, 20 years?
Well, like everybody, I guess, definitely the internet, because you can get your message across so much better. I mean, I don't know if you remember, I took 2 years out to fulfill a dream, which was to run a safari lodge in Africa, and it just was meant to be. And one of the things I did was I joined Facebook, which I thought I'm never going to join Facebook. I just didn't like the idea of it, but I did. And I stayed on LinkedIn as well. And I shared when I could, because the internet out there was so bad. It was satellite driven. And often elephants or baboons would, you know, pull up the cables, and then we'd be without any
like they do.
great excuse not to be in touch. But it was really, really hard.
It is, right?
But what I noticed was, because I stayed in touch via the internet, when I came back to the UK and I restarted my business, very much in a different formula, but still I was remembered. I had shared my vulnerabilities, I'd shared my adventures, and I was singing, dancing, being an example of everything that I represent and everything that I encourage my clients to do. So the internet was really powerful from that perspective. Whilst I wasn't actively marketing, I was still staying in touch. People still remembered me. You know, so I think it's invaluable, really, but it comes with a warning, because I think it is harmful to our health. And, you know, I can't stress that enough. It's really important to have technology breaks and get away from it all. Book a place where there's no mobile signal, no Wi-Fi, and just get used to it. Speak to one another, connect with nature, be present, because we're just fast and furious. Oh, there's an email, let me respond at 1 o'clock in the morning. Don't do it, because then you're teaching your clients what, you know, how you're working, and then they expect it all the time, and then you create a rod for your own back. So yeah, I think it's definitely helped, but I think it's also about managing it and getting a balance and creating boundaries. Boundaries are important in every aspect of life, business, personally, everywhere.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, there's been no more important time than now and I think a lot of people are becoming more conscious about that. I think there's way more people that I know now that are literally having technology breaks, or we as a family, we all signed up to this thing. Our youngest Abby, she just turned 18. She found this app that you set it for periods of time, like it'd be like 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and like you're growing a garden, and so your aim is to build this big garden, and you can not play against each other, but with each other, and so you can grow the same tree. And we started playing that just as we were going through the process of moving house, so we haven't played it for a while. We moved onto a boat, so we're kind of all over the place now, but it was just, you know, it was something that was a good distraction. Whilst you were growing your tree, you were not allowed to pause it, or, you know, and you could earn bigger points and bigger trees and bigger flowers and more exotic flowers, tropical flowers, if you left it for longer periods of time. Like if you left your phone and you didn't touch it for 3 hours, like you could build this amazing tropical garden. It kind of became a bit addictive, you know, to leave the phone, and then you didn't want to touch the phone, because if you touched the phone, then your flowers died.
So that's not good.
You've got to find a way of, you know, whether it's a virtual pet or something. It's like, no, I'm not. Whatever your way is that you can avoid touching your phone, use it. Greg, we're watching this now. We should definitely get back onto that now. We're all moved.
Well, don't do what I did and have your phone in your back pocket and then go to the loo. That's one way of keeping you off your mobile device, I tell you. Drying it out.
A very expensive way. Although actually most phones are waterproof now. Jane, tell us about this safari you've been taking people on. I mean, is it in the same place that you were living?
Yeah, it's in the Lower Zambezi, and I got inspired by the Sustainable Development Goals that came out in September 2015. And I really needed a new purpose. My kids had gone, and I hadn't realized how much of a driving force they were. So I needed a new purpose. And every time I spoke about Zambia, I would light up, and people said, we really need to do something around Africa. So anyway, saw these 3 Sustainable Development Goals. They really resonated with me. And I said to, you might know him, you might remember him, Clive Wilson, who runs the United Nations Association. And I said, but I can't see how one person can make a difference on this scale. And he said, who are you not to?
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't answer that question. Well, yeah, who am I not to? So, right, I've got to do it. And then I had this idea. I went for a walk, and I was in nature, and it came to me, and it was, I know what I can do. I can go out there and speak to the people I know on the ground, the conservation unit, who I know need help and support to run their education programs on human wildlife conflict and send out their patrols to look for poachers and what have you. So I'll go and have a word with them. I'll see what programs they've got running and what support they need. So I did a recce, went out there. The head of Queen Ethel Burgers in York overheard me talking at a networking event and invited me to the school. And they have partnered with a school over in Zambia, and they come out every year. So that's another thing. And then I thought, well, how can I do something to raise funds for these programs? And I thought, business network. Who do I know who might want to go on an adventure? So we do these sponsored canoe trips. It's a self-funded trip, so people pay for their own trip, and then they commit to raising funds for the conservation unit. The trips are a really small group, around 10 or 12, and we wild camp out on islands amongst the wildlife under the African stars, campfire conversations, no mobile signal, no Wi-Fi. And it's amazing. And I've just started going to do a retreat on a yearly basis at least as well. Same thing for busy people who basically want to get away from it all and reevaluate and sort of fine tune their purpose or decide what it is that they want to do next, or how they're going to change the way things are happening for them, or maybe just even recharging. I compare it very much to a computer, and we need to shut down the old Windows and defragment and reboot and upgrade the software.
Yeah, and when we don't, it gets tired and it overheats and it starts
slows down. Slows down quite a lot. So so new for 2020 is a retreat. It's an 8-day retreat where we immerse ourselves in and around the wildlife. There's some quiet time meditation. There's some work around how to get rid of mental blocks and emotional trauma that gets in the way of people being their happiest and at their best as well. Because, you know, there's no doubt about it, our childhoods can have a massive impact. The people who've influences in early life, and lots of us carry around emotional baggage that totally blocks our path to wherever it is that we want to go. So yeah, all exciting.
And so I'm just going to put that up as a banner there. So an 8-day retreat to immerse yourself in wildlife, campfire conversations and emotional clearance strategies while you're there. I mean, you know, tell us, like, how much is it? When do you go? What are the dates? So if anybody's watching this and they fancy doing it and canoeing up the river and sleeping under the stars, tell us a bit more about that. So what are your dates going?
I think it's the 7th of July, I think, is when we leave. We leave the UK on the 6th of July. We're arriving to Lusaka, which is the capital of Zambia, on the 7th. We overnight in Lusaka so that we can visit the elephant orphanage on the first morning. And then we go down to the lodge, which is on the border with Zimbabwe. All very safe, by the way, so no worries there. And then we immerse ourselves for 7 nights, partly in the lodge, partly out wild camping. And we are going to do a trek up a mountain called Chilapilla, which is a morning trek, and you get the most phenomenal views of the Zambezi River. We also go on a game drive, and we see whatever we see, because we are literally in a wild zone. There are no fences or anything like that. Last year we had a herd of elephants join us on one of the islands where we were camping. And then we eat under the stars. There are gin and tonics at sunset, you know, that type of thing. Or whatever your tipple is, beer, what have you. And then there's there's various excursions that we do. There's a baobab forest. I don't know if you've heard of the baobab tree.
I've heard of the baobab tree.
Yeah, so it's an upside down tree, or it looks like an upside down tree, because it only has leaves at a certain time of the year. So I think it's in the rainy season that it has leaves, but the rest of the time it just looks like it was planted upside down. And it's called the Tree of Life as well. And there's a forest that we visit that is really, really incredible. The energy of these trees is just surreal. Really good place to go to sort of like just connect with yourself. But you know, the place where we're going is just one of those places where you set foot in it and you see people going from grey. You know, remember the Spitting Image? There was an image of John Major and he was grey.
Yeah.
So people arrive like that, and within a couple of hours of being there, they literally go to Technicolor, and it's like they come to life. It's just amazing. So yeah, I think there's all sorts of things that, and we will meditate as well. It's a great place to meditate. I'll teach people how to meditate, and we will deal with anything that comes up. There probably will be some fears. We will probably be outside our comfort zone, and that's all the things that you can then transfer from being in real danger, you know, in those situations. You transfer into your business. Yeah. But remember,
so Jane,
sorry,
what is the investment for it, and how do they get in touch with you?
How's the what? Sorry.
What is the investment for this, and how do they get in touch with you?
So the trip itself is £1,600, but that doesn't include international flights or visas. Visas are $50 US dollars, and flights vary depending on who you fly with. So yeah, that's for 8 days, and that includes food, apart from one meal, which is dinner on the first night. So it's really, really, really good value. Really good value, and I tell you, it's performing.
I mean, for a safari, that's pretty brilliant. I mean, gosh, last year I went and did a safari in some part of South Africa. I took James with me as well, and I think we invested something like $5.5 grand each, so it was 11 grand plus I paid for all the flights. We had a private jet took us to one of the islands, so we easily did about 25 grand on just that one trip. So it's £1,600. Is that plus VAT, or is that including VAT as well?
No, it's including VAT. The thing is, though, is it is rough and ready. It's not luxury. Deliberately, it's not luxury because
You're not supposed to have that out there.
You see the same stuff. You know, you do, and actually, I think it's even a better way of connecting with it because you know you're right in the water, and you know you see all sorts, and because it's quiet in the canoe, the animals don't run away. So but I mean it's only limited people as well. The group is no more than 9 people, so it's first come first serve, and then it's gone. So yeah, so basically contact me via email, jane@janekeogh.co.uk.
@janekeogh.co.uk. And so have you started telling people about this yet? Is this early on? Because you only brought this to my attention a few days ago.
Well, it was kind of like I'd been procrastinating about it, and this little voice inside my head said, well, just do it. I'm there anyway. Why not make the most of the opportunity and gives people an opportunity to experience what they can experience and make such a massive transformation in their life. So I just thought, oh, let's put it out there and let's see what happens. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a great investment, guys and girls. If you're watching this, whether live or on the replay, you know, just reach out to Jane anyway, because even if you can't get to South Africa, or you're thinking that actually it would be great to have some personal development support or some tools, some extra mindset tools that'll help you to get out there and actually shine your light on the world. If there's any part of you that's thinking, oh, but who am I? Well, as Jane said, who are you not to? So now is a good time. There's no better time than now to work on yourself and get out there and do it. Jane, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Please do make sure that you pop any more details about it that you can't see in the comments. This has gone live via YouTube and 3 of our Facebook channels. So it's gone live by the group, it's gone live by my personal page and our business page as well. So if you know somebody who would love to go on a safari, who maybe has been talking about it and they haven't done anything about it, then please do connect Jane and them together and just maybe share this interview and see if it's something that they fancy doing as well. Jane, it's been so nice to see you after years. I know you've got to get
for a big hug.
Yeah, I know. We definitely do. Like I'm up north a lot more now. I'm in Manchester at least once a month. So we're just kind of sailing full time now. Greg and I, now we sold everything and bought our boat. We're just full time sailing and just relaxing. So you'll have to come and spend some time with us on the boat, and we'll have a good old catch up and a glass of wine.
Yeah,
if we don't see you in Africa.
And maybe see you on the trip as well.
Yeah, maybe I'd have to check with all my dates and things, all the public speaking and stuff that I've got scheduled in this year. So now I've got the dates, I can definitely look at it and match it up, see what we've got going on.
Well, there's always next year, Sammy.
There is. So make sure we've got the dates. That's the best thing to do. Is like my calendar gets booked up nearly 2 years in advance with some of the things that we're doing with our members' days for Brand Builders Club and stuff. So, but please do make sure that I have the links, because even if I can't make it, because I'd love to go, but even if I can't make it, then I'm sure within our network there will be somebody who resonates with it and would love to invest in themselves to go further and spend that most amazing time. I mean, I had some of my most magical moments of my life on safari, and I don't think you can get enough of being in an environment like that. And I would love Greg to come out and do that, you know, because I was there with James. It may be Greg and I, if we can get the time to go and do it and find a boat sitter and get out there.
It's July every year because it's their winter, and it's the best time of year because it's warm during the day but it's chilly in the evening, so there are less fly buggy things. And I can tell you something, I can promise you that my time in Africa cured me of any fear that I used to experience, because I used to fear all the creepy crawlies and all that kind of stuff, and I managed to live with them going around me, and I don't fear it much now, much at all. Anyway,
fabulous. Well,
great to talk to you. Okay.
Yeah, it's lovely to talk to you as well. Guys and girls, we'll be live for our final Confessions of a Global Changemaker tomorrow, the final one for this week, that is, because we're live at 5 every day. I'm going to be back with the amazing Kerry Bartley, so do come back, hear her golden nuggets about getting out into the world and shining your light. Jane, give my love to everybody in the family. Have a good squeeze with your grandbaby. I'm going to go see my grandson now as well. So take care. Mwah. Lots of love. Bye. And I'll see you guys and girls tomorrow. See you later.